Willkommen and welcome back to the channel. My name is Sean Huggins and this is React with Hugs. Thank you so much for being here. Today, we are checking out how Germans suddenly got good at basketball. Dude, my boy Dennis Schroeder, my current favorite German basketball player. Look at this guy. 2019, 18th place. 2023 first place. So we're going to see how did Germany get good at basketball all of a sudden, which I am very excited about because basketball is my favorite sport. I like the way they dribble up and down the court. So enough yapping. Los geht's.
What German basketball has achieved in the last 2 years is absolutely unbelievable.
I have a prediction. I think that this is because Dirk Nowitzki, the GOAT, Dirk Nowitzki, I think after he retired, Germany was able to get good because he was like sucking all of the power out of all the other German players, and that's how he got so good. He took all of the energy and power and skill like a Space Jam moment. He took all of the skills from all of the other German players at the time for so many years, and that's how he became the greatest of all time. Greatest of all time, at least in my heart. But yeah, and then when he retired, now Germany can excel. That's my prediction. Let's see.
Finishing in the 18th place in the 2019 World Cup to winning bronze in Eurobasket 2022 and becoming the world champions in 2023.
Wow,
what's even
climb.
crazier, it all happened after one of the greatest European basketball players from Germany retired. In this video, I'll break down exactly how Germany pulled off this miraculous growth in seemingly just a few years and why this nation might be staying among the powerhouses for years ahead. Now, let's be real. Basketball by far isn't the most popular sport in Germany. Why is popularity important here? Well, I think that in order for a country to be successful at a sport, it must have a good selection of players to choose from. In Germany, football reigns supreme, and even with this World Cup victory, things aren't going to change. I wanted to know more about German basketball from within, so I spoke with a German basketball journalist, Robert Hosel. When I asked him where he would rank basketball among other sports, this was his response.
Oh, okay. This is what I'm interested in. I am curious how popular basketball is in Germany, because even though I've lived in Germany before, it didn't seem all that popular, to be honest. I mean, I'm obviously coming from America where it's super popular. There's a basketball court on like every street corner in America, so you just grow up playing it. Even if you don't play it in a league or play on a team, there's just basketball courts everywhere, so you just grow up kind of playing outside. And I would say it's like one of the most popular sports in America for sure. Probably top 3 with like football and baseball. It has to be up there somewhere. Sorry, I should say American football. American football, baseball, and basketball are like the big 3 that I can think of in America. So I'm curious about Germany. Let's see.
No question. Football is number 1 sport, number 2 sport, number 3, and probably also number 4 sports in Germany.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah, football is dominating everything. If you ask a basketball journalist, he would say basketball, it's number 2. It's pretty close between handball and basketball, I would say. Ice hockey is also in the mix.
To put things in...
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so Fußball is 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, all of that. Okay, that makes sense. But after that, a huge gap, and then possibly basketball or handball, which we don't really have a lot of handball in America. We don't really have handball at all, actually, in America. So that's very cool, very interesting. I like that.
To perspective, Robert gave me this example. Even a 3rd division football match will attract more Germans to their TVs than a top-tier basketball game in Germany's Premier League, the BBL.
Oh, wow.
And that's just talking about...
Wait a minute.
Top-tier basketball game in Germany's Premier League, the BBL.
The BBL? Your basketball league is the BBL? Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, and that's just talking about the fans. If you count every single person playing organized sports in Germany, from professional leagues to dedicated amateurs, you've got about 8 million passionate football players compared to roughly 250,000 basketball players among all levels. That is 32 times more. But okay, it's not like those numbers are staying the same forever. While football will definitely continue to be supreme, basketball's popularity is definitely on the upward trajectory. First of all, right now there are 6 German players in the NBA who all have had a noticeable role there. If you think 6 is a small number, a basketball-crazy country like Serbia also has 6. Of course, the difference in population is massive, but still, remember the pool of players I just brought up. It's really not that big yet. Another factor for basketball's popularity to grow were the recent successes of the national team, especially when talking about the World Cup, which ignited a noticeable spark in German basketball.
Yeah, I have to imagine that the success of the German team in the FIBA tournaments has had to have had a positive effect on the popularity of basketball within Germany, for sure, right? I mean, it's just easier to get into a sport when your team is winning. It's just more fun, it's more entertaining. When your team's winning, it's just it's more enjoyable. So like it makes sense.
The peak, I would say, was the USA game in the semifinal. It was probably even bigger than the final because Germany beating Team USA in a do-or-die game in the semifinal of the World Cup, in a game that is played pretty in the American way of basketball, with a high-scoring game. This was really, really special, and here I would say millions of people watched here in Germany.
When that team returned home, clutching gold in 2023, the streets were lined with fans cheering them on. It wasn't the same level of frenzy you would see for a football victory, or even when compared to a country like Latvia, who finished 5th in that same tournament. But for basketball, it was something unheard of and definitely a sign of significant growth in the sport's popularity. Like I said, it hasn't always been this way, and to understand the keys for Germany's recent success, we'll have to look at the past. Right, so while Germany's recent successes have been shocking, they do have a history in basketball, even if it's been in the shadow of other European powerhouses. Let's dive into some key moments.
I don't know anything about the history of basketball in Germany, so this should be interesting.
Basketball found its way into Germany all the way back in 1896, when August Hermann, a dedicated sports pioneer, introduced the sport from, you guessed it, the United States of America. It took a while for the sport to gain traction though. From 1951, when Germany debuted in the Eurobasket, there were many unremarkable performances until 1993, when a miracle happened. Germany shocked the basketball world when they clinched the Eurobasket gold medal on their home ground.
Oh, dude, that's so cool.
You could argue that the 1993 Eurobasket competitively was one of the weaker tournaments, as powerhouses like Yugoslavia or Lithuania did not participate. Anyhow, that 1993 squad then became national heroes overnight, but sadly, despite this achievement, the wave of basketball excitement in the country slowly faded out. Then, the rise of Dirk Nowitzki brought a new era to German basketball.
Dude. Oh man, Dirk was my favorite player growing up as a little kid. When he was playing in Dallas, oh man, I used to absolutely love him. I used to love watching him. I used to play with him in the video games, everything. He was the best. He was so awesome.
An era full of hope for the national team, as Dirk's impact was felt right away. In 2001, 23-year-old Dirk led his team to the 4th place in the Eurobasket and more impressively bronze medals at the 2002 World Cup.
Awesome.
All that by also being the top scorer too.
Look at that mop of hair on his head. Oh my gosh.
And the MVP in 2002. And so his era continued, with him inspiring countless young Germans to dream big and take to the court. He almost single-handedly kept German basketball relevant on a global scale for close to 2 decades. And then, after winning only a single game in 2015 Eurobasket, Nowitzki said farewell to the national team, which for many fans also felt like a farewell for Germany to being successful. But I wouldn't be making this video if that was the case, right? How did a team that finished 18th in the World Cup and 8th in the Olympics in 2019 and 2021 respectively get bronze in the Eurobasket and gold in the World Cup in the last 2 years? Well, Germany's basketball boom wasn't just luck. It was the result of deliberate strategic changes to their system that began taking root in the 2010s. Yes, guys, I know. How German of them to be systematic. It all started with the domestic league, BBL. The league instituted a rule around 2012 that became a game changer. At least 6 out of 12 players on every team's roster had to be German national.
Whoa. At least 6 out of 12 players on every team's roster have to be German nationals. Damn, okay, so that is obviously going to foster a lot of talent in Germany if you have to get German talent. Maybe they aren't necessarily the best players that you could possibly get for your team at the time, but just the fact that they are on the team and continue to practice and compete with the team, they will get better, and over the years, that really pays off. Interesting.
Similar or even identical concepts and rules existed in other leagues before that, so the BBL felt like that's a must in order for basketball to grow. Before this change, some BBL teams, especially back in the 2000s, relied heavily on foreign talent, leaving very little court time for developing German players.
At the end of the 90s and the beginning of the 2000s, Germany lost almost one generation on players due to that rule in the BBL, that there were no rules that you have Germans on the roster. There were seasons where only 2 Germans scored more than 10 points in the whole league. Only 8 players playing more than 20 minutes in the whole league. Now we are talking about the 6+6 rule, which is established for years now. We have 40 or 50 players in the BBL, German players who playing 18, 19, 20 minutes or more.
The BBL didn't stop there either. They required that every pro team would have a dedicated under-19 squad competing in its own league, along with at least one professional youth coach on staff. This created a true development structure for new generations of German talent. If you look at all the current German NBA players, everyone except for Isaiah Hartenstein went through that BBL system, and you could definitely attribute some of it to that 6+6 rule. Okay, so what does this new wave of German basketball actually look like? What's their style and what's their school of basketball?
Efficiency, efficiency, efficiency.
Well, it's definitely a mix of individual skill-based American influence blended with the more traditional team-oriented European basketball. The German school of basketball puts huge emphasis on the essential skills of the game: shooting, passing, dribbling, and most importantly, defense. German players are known for being defensively tough, and many define themselves by this element of the game. This allows Germans, even at a younger age, to be in demand at the professional level. Another key factor is that young German players almost always finish their full education before going all in on professional basketball. In some other countries, kids dream of dropping out of school to chase NBA stardom. In others, they generate a lot of hype and interest that the agents capitalize on and encourage them to go pro when perhaps it's still too early. German prospects tend to finish not just school but university too. This maturity definitely translates on the court, as German players are often labeled as late bloomers, hitting their peak in their mid-20s instead of their late teens. Alright, so what is waiting ahead of us? Clearly, this German national team and their coach are on an absolute roll. They've defied the odds, snatching
Germany. They're rebuilding their power.
Medals in 2 consecutive international tournaments. So I asked Robert what he thought the future holds for German basketball.
We came together 2 years ago to win 3 medals on 3 tournaments. They have bronze in the Eurobasket, they have gold in the World Cup, so the Olympics are still open. And the great goal of this team is to win a medal in the Olympics. And after the Olympic Games, I think probably bigger changes in the German national team will happen. I could imagine that some players will retire. Some of them, they are older than 30 years now, played many summers with the national team. So the team will change, but the pool of players who can follow the footsteps is pretty big. So I think German basketball has a bright future.
And that bright future is exactly what I hope they will have. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below.
Wow, that was awesome. I am definitely looking forward to following the German national team because they are fascinating. I mean, you start off just a few years ago being decent, mediocre as a national team on the world stage, but then so quickly getting to the very top, winning the FIBA World Cup, being the world champions. Like, That's crazy. The quick ascension into greatness is awesome to see. So I'm curious if Deutschland can stay on top and keep their dominance going. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. But I'm curious, as always, what you guys, the experts, have to say. What do you think of the national team here? How do you think that they are going to do in the future? Let me know your thoughts. Leave your mustard down in the comments section below. And when you're done there, consider subscribing, leaving a like, all of that good stuff for the algorithm. It helps out a lot. You guys know the deal. That being said, though, that's all the time that I have for today. So thank you guys so much for being here. And as always, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.